All right, we're live. Great.
2 minutes before.
Well, this says 6 o'clock, so. We'll give it, let's pause it for a minute.
Leave it open, just.
That's record?
Leave it, yeah,
Leave it so.
we'll just leave it open for a minute. Still recording, but that's okay.
Were we? Yep.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We are starting the Public Safety Commission meeting September 25th. Let me just get to where I have to get to on my phone, because I do record these meetings. All right, I will take a roll call. Actually, I will mention that if anybody else is recording the meeting other than Public Safety Commission, please let the chair know at this time in the room or online. Doesn't look like anybody is. So I'll take a roll call to start the meeting. Commissioner Jarvis.
Here.
Commissioner Byrd.
Here.
Commissioner Moscaratolo is here, so we have a quorum, so we can have our meeting, which is great. I will move into public comments. Is there any public comment in the room? Any public comment online? Okay, we're moving on. All right. We have meeting minutes to approve. I sent out July and August. Can I get a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So move, Jarvis.
And can I get a second?
Second Bird.
All right, any discussion on the meeting minutes? A couple spelling mistakes I have to correct. Guys are good with all of it? Hello.
Hi, how are you?
All right, all in favor of approving both? Aye.
Hi.
Okay, we've approved the meeting minutes. All right, so we're moving on to new business. I would invite AMR up.
Hi, how you doing? You want to stay here?
No, come on up.
All right,
Come on
no
up,
problem.
come on up there. And again, for the Zoom audience and the recording, just state your name and your business, you know, because folks will watch this later on in the month.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Mark LaPrade. I am one of the paramedic operations supervisors for AMR.
Welcome.
Hi, how you
Mark.
doing?
Long time no see.
I know, so bring my regards from Kim, our ops manager. So the only updates we have for Greenfield so far is I think it was here in August or July, the shift bid went live, that all went fine, so the employees up here were able to move around their shifts if they wanted to. And that's all status quo. The other new thing is we got all brand new stretchers. So they are the same type of Stryker stretcher that we had in the trucks. However, they were kind of coming up on the, I think it was 5-year warranty. So the whole operation down in Springfield and Greenfield all got new Stryker stretchers replaced in every single ambulance. So, and the other new business for Greenfield, which kind of pertains more for the interfacility transfers with the Greenfield paramedic trucks up here that sometimes will take patients down to Bay State for a higher level of care. We have just got approved to have a Hamilton T1 ventilator up here in the Greenfield office. So we have one of the CCT truck that I supervise down at Bay State and AMR joint thing, and we have one Springfield operation. It is the quote unquote Cadillac of transport ventilators. You don't really get much better than that type of ventilator. So we were able to procure a budget for that and have one up here in Greenfield. So
Excellent.
they were using an older style ventilator up here, but we finally are going to get them hopefully by the end of the year. It's just whenever it can come in and they can procure.
Great.
So I think that's it. Those are the two updates she had for me. And
Okay,
if
great.
you guys had any questions, or if I can't answer, I could forward back to her.
Yes, can you just talk to Kim about sending us statistics?
Okay.
Like maybe before the meetings.
Okay.
You know, just on call volume and that's like you used to do.
Okay.
Before.
Yeah, I
So-
think, you know what, I totally forgot. I think
No, that's
that
okay. I
happened
mean,
last time.
it doesn't happen, you know, I know you guys are busy and things take time, but it would be good. So,
Like, you want, anything else besides call volume or?
just the general call volume.
Okay.
You send out to us.
Okay, no
How's
problem.
everything?
So,
If not, I'm sure she'll
Fabulous.
forward today or
Yeah, yeah.
tomorrow to you guys
Yeah.
for the last
Yeah,
month or
that's
whatnot,
fine.
but I'll make sure on the next go around, you'll have that before
Okay,
that show up,
great.
so.
all right, excellent, great.
All right.
Any questions from the other commissioners?
Nope, I'm good,
All
Mark.
right, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you so
You want me
much.
to stick around or?
You don't have to, if you're busy, it's fine.
My mother-in-law's 70th birthday.
Yes,
So
go.
my wife.
You better go.
Yeah,
You're in
yeah.
trouble.
Take care.
Okay. All right,
Whatever.
Mr. Fire Chief?
Yes,
You're right.
you're right. He just rubbed it in.
I want that on record.
What can I say? Well, he looks good with his tie.
Madam Mayor, welcome, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, just a couple updates. You should have got the list of, the layout of how we operate for the department. That was sent to you in an email.
We did see that, thank you for that.
No problem. Monday this week, we had the opportunity to host a fire class with a deputy chief from the FDNY who taught us about modern fire behavior, specifically when we talk about flow path. Flow path for us is when there's a fire in a building is there was a discussion and training on what happens when you ventilate, and a lot of the old school tactics that we have been teaching firefighters forever. It's now a different way to look at the way that we fight fire. So it was very interesting. It was attended by everybody in the department. Everybody enjoyed it. And it was a good class. The firehouse is still moving along. A couple of the late change orders have been starting to be taken care of today, including the blinds that I showed you.
You just showing off.
Yeah, I was.
You did that.
I was. But the firehouse project's going really well. The fence in the back is being put up. So we're pretty happy with the progress that's being made. It's all little things, but they're getting taken care of pretty quickly. Well, I'm sure we'll have a discussion about it, but there's been some talks about the reverse 911 system in the town. I need to have a discussion with the police chief and the mayor about the appropriate use of that and maybe expanding the way that we use it. But Chief Dodge reached out to me, I think it was today, and asked for some discussion about that. So we'll be having that going forward.
That is on the agenda for a little bit later, if you can stick around.
Sure. Going nowhere. And other than that, things are moving pretty smoothly. A lot of calls, taking in calls and responding on them. And it's been a busy month for us between Wormtown, the fair, and a lot of other planned events. We assisted Deerfield with their 5K run down at Treehouse. We sent an ambulance down there for the day, so it's been pretty active.
Any unusual calls this month, out of the ordinary?
No,
That's a good thing.
just standard. Every call can be a little unusual, so.
No planes that landed on 91 or anything like that.
I'm
I would expect to get a phone call on that one. So it's all bad.
sure you would.
All right.
Yeah.
Any input or questions from commissioners?
Other than I hear you guys going all the time and I am responding off at 9 o'clock at night, so I don't hear it when I'm trying to sleep, but. Yeah, you guys sound busy. It sounds like Wormtown went pretty good though. I didn't see a
Very-
bunch of critical incidents coming up on the.
Yeah, very few transports out of there.
I didn't see that.
Well,
So I want to mention that seems like it's getting more and more under control and.
Yeah.
Yep, no problem. So that's good
yeah.
for everybody.
As far as the call volume goes, I say it every year and it seems to be a broken record, but we're on pace to have the busiest year on record again. So, and I can't tell you why. It's just our call volume keeps going up and up, so.
Thank you for the update.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, want to get a quick dispatch update? Not possible. And I'll just remind everybody, as you come up, just introduce yourself again, because people will watch the recording in the months to come, so. Quick too, I see them back there, they want to get up here pretty quickly, so.
I am Cindy Hunter. I'm the dispatch supervisor for Greenfield Police and Fire.
Standby for non-emergency tones.
Sorry.
So just to let you know, so up until
Well-
now, so the call volume for the month of September so far has, we've entered 2,909 calls for service so far this month. We've had 1,922 911 calls and 3,540 something business line calls so far this month. So we've been pretty busy. Our vacation relief spot has saved us, I'm happy to say, about 112 hours of overtime this month. That's great. It's also saved on stress for the rest of the dispatchers. So that's also, that's the most important thing. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, we did lose 2 per diem dispatchers. We were pretty happy that we had, I think, 5 or 6 at our highest. Unfortunately, they were just not able to give the number of hours that we're asking. We did implement recently that we are requiring them to do at least 16 hours a month. And the reason for that being that we just want them to keep up on their skills. We did have a couple of per diems who don't work in any other dispatch center. So it was important to keep that up, and they just felt that they couldn't put in the time. So we may be looking for per diems in the near future. Our 2 trainees are going very well. We expect that Luda, who you've met, I believe, a couple months ago, she will be hopefully going on shift by mid-October.
Okay, great.
Be on her own. Our part-time trainee, she unfortunately is, well, fortunately for her, but unfortunately for us, she's gone to college. And so she's only training on the weekends right now. So we're working with that, and hopefully we're going to get her through training soon. Pittsfield Communications has been in our office this week installing the equipment for our new radios. So we're excited about that. It's not live yet, but the equipment is there. Everything is turned on. The dispatch project is moving forward. The chief advised us today that the building permit was approved, and so we're going to be going forward with that. Our new computers are starting to be installed. They installed 1 console so far this past week, so we could test it out and make sure that everything was in it that needed to be in it. So that's great. And let's see, our training grant has been submitted, so we're just waiting to hear back that we've been approved for that. And there's also another grant that we're applying for, which I'm in the process of with help of Lieutenant Haskins and the chief, getting that submitted as well. The only other thing I'd like to mention is that I was given the opportunity with the chief and Lieutenant Green to attend a CIT conference last month in Indianapolis, actually. It was very, very informative. It was a 3-day conference. I went with 2 police officers from the department. And I just have a handout for you real quick that just gives you
I was going to ask you
a
about.
synopsis of the classes that we were able to attend. Gives you an idea of what we did.
And this was paid for by a grant, I think Chris
That was
mentioned that, right?
paid for by a grant.
Excellent.
It was extremely informative.
You can take a peek.
Especially I felt there was several classes on autism, which was super informative. We're starting to deal more with folks who are on the spectrum. So that was great information. Lots of information in regards to the opioid problem that we're having in the country.
Right.
And there was actually one that I would love to mention. It was a class called Broken Like Me. And it was actually a retired police officer who gave that class. And it just went through first responder mental health and
That's really good.
prevention of suicide and those types of things.
Right.
Very informative. I think that's all I have.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Just a comment that I see that bringing you up is giving you ample time to get a lot of your work done. You had a busy month.
We're getting there. So hopefully when Luna gets off of training, I can get out of the office and
Nice.
we're into my office. So,
Looks like you're.
but we have a
you're
bunch of
getting
things that we're
a lot
working on.
accomplished.
We're trying. All set.
Do you know, Chris, or do you guys mention the other officers that went to this conference last week? Do you know who they are?
Officer Henry, who will be here,
Okay,
and Officer Granger,
okay, great. Excellent.
and then the CS, we send corresponders too.
Yeah. One of our
Oh,
officers
great,
went as well.
excellent.
Yeah.
So you're at the table, but anyone can answer the question. What is the plan to take this information back to the departments and, you know, spread it out? And does that happen? I mean, in certain ways, conversations, or do you have like follow-ups with the other officers and stuff?
I can only speak for dispatch, but I am putting together notes that I had taken and some information that I had retrieved back from the conference and putting it out to dispatchers. We've actually talked about doing some mini trainings
Oh, great.
during our shift changes.
Great.
So starting to put that together. So that will be disseminated that way for us.
Okay, great, excellent. Yeah, if you have a chance and you can share them with us, we'd love to see them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
super.
All right.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Gentlemen? I told you I'll put you first.
Copy that, because there's not many of them. It's our stats. We're gonna look what I'm reading off. Not giving it to Cindy because she knows she sends us on them.
Thank you, young man. Oh, gosh, I like to have heart.
You are old fashioned. You said it.
Looking at me when you said that though.
You guys brought this. Todd Dodge, Chief Greenfield Police. With me is Lieutenant Chris Green, Greenfield Police.
Welcome.
For August, calls handled in August were 4,152. That was actually down 328 from the previous month. Time spent on calls, 1,953 hours. That was an additional 172 hours. Calls handled downtown business district were 330. That was down 50 calls. And I'd attribute some of that to smaller to no crowds in that area. Incident reports issued were 167. That was down 20 from the previous month. Accidents were up 1 to 36. Arrest reports were down 2 to 56. And we issued 210 citations. That stays pretty consistent month to
Yeah,
month.
seems like it.
Special reports, officer movement, 2 officers are currently in the FPO program. The third actually is in the waiver process. The decision was happening today. We haven't heard yet from MPTC, Mass Police Training Commission. So they have a committee that gets together, reviews waiver materials. I don't foresee any issues with that, but he's the transfer from NYPD that you met previously, Ricky.
Yeah, last month.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. He's actually eager to get here. He says if they waive me on Wednesday, I'll start Monday. He's ready to rock.
Enthusiastic.
He's ready to go. Yeah.
So everything else is set other than you just waiting to hear, right?
That's right.
He's done that training, the training he had to do and the training. Doesn't he have to do an in-house training to CPR or
We
something?
had to get him, he had to take a test online.
He did that, right?
He did that.
Okay.
We had to get him firearms qualified
You do that locally though.
by
right?
us.
By us, yes.
And then we had to get him CPR first aid certified too through us. And there was some other miscellaneous paperwork and waivers and other forms to sign, but we had to put him on board him, get him trained up, submit all his trainings to MPTC before they'd even put him on the docket
Gotcha.
for today. So, but as far as we know, everything was good to go. I've heard nothing that we were lacking on our end for his training and boxes to check off.
Do they do to let you know today or soon, or it would happen today?
I'm
the
assuming
review?
I'll get an email at some point. I don't know if they do it in the evening, so it could be coming later today. If not, I would assume by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes,
Can you just shoot me a message? I'll let the other commissioners know
absolutely, yeah.
as soon as you hear.
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
The other two, the 2 that are in training are expected to wrap up in October.
Excellent.
So at various stages.
And that's going smooth for the 2 of them?
Yeah, typical. Yeah, I mean, it's training stuff. they're learning a lot and. So the Main Street substation, I just got word from Phil Wartell. The bid opening was today and the lowest bid came in about 25,000 higher than we expected.
Lowest bid came in 25,000 higher than expected.
$75,000. Yeah,
Is the job's not even that much, right?
well,
Well, it's, I mean, okay, so
it's a full renovation. of
back to the
place.
drawing board,
I don't know.
okay.
Glad the mayor's here to hear that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay,
Just,
so one bid,
just frustrating every time.
frustrating every time.
No, we got more than one bid. We got more
But
than
the
one.
lowest.
The lowest
the
was
lowest
75.
75. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know.
Is there? And I don't know if this is correct on this, but is there a state list where people are already qualified that you can get work done instead of it going out to bid?
No, you gotta
It's not-
exercise the
is that-
procurement process.
Okay,
And then they have to jump through the hoops to ensure they're properly insured and in order to qualify on a bid, they do have to jump through hoops. But there's no like preset list of contractors that,
Insurance, bonding, everything. So we go on.
but with a project that small, is there any exceptions in with the state?
it's not based on the size of the project, it's based on the amount of the project. And because this amount of this project goes over 30,000
Okay,
or 50,000, there's various thresholds that invoke additional red tape, I guess, so to speak. So this particular one was such that it had to go out to bid in the way it did. So we're lucky to have Phil Wartell back because he took the bull by the horns on this. We assumed one of the local contractors was gonna come in correctly because he was the one that kind of set the pace for this, but there were some modifications with respect to asbestos, the possibility of asbestos in there.
okay,
So it kind of ramped things up a little bit, I guess. So yeah, just get back to work on it and see where we can go with it.
okay, good to know.
It's just always, they're balloon deflators every time we try to put something out.
It just seems like it's not the largest project. And there's,
None of our,
I'm wondering if, I mean, and again, I don't know. The processes and procedures with, you know, the state and with the city in detail, but it seems like with small projects. Cities and towns are always struggling to try to get work done.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if there's any relief from the state that could help us get through it, you know, as opposed to.
nothing I'm over.
Like, you know, I mean, if you either have to take the lowest bid that's way over, or you have to come up with a different plan, so. It seems like it's not the
Yeah.
best process
This
in
was
the,
not quite as extreme as our last one. I mean, the dispatch bid went over $260,000 more than what we put it out for. This one's 25, but still kind of
and that was
deflate you a bit.
Gotcha, okay,
Commissioner, you guys also have to understand that any municipal project for buildings has to pay procuring wage.
I get that,
So,
yes,
so like a proposal that you put out is gonna be, 30% on average, 30% or more higher just to pay procuring wage or.
Prevailing.
Minimum, yeah, so.
I just didn't know if there was some type of
Prevailing wage.
help to. Knowing that, I just didn't know if there was any type of help that, a direction the state could give cities and towns for, I mean, it's not a huge project.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of like we're stuck here now because. You know, we're getting prices that we don't think is accurate, are accurate.
Again, with these small projects, we talked about it before. I know it's underway. Joe and Central Maintenance is talking about getting, either getting a GC license himself or getting a staff member with one, and then he can pull permits and maybe they'd be able to do additional things like this that aren't so big. But again, that's not something that's gonna happen overnight. So here we are.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the dispatch project, we just got word today from Mark Snow that the building permit was secured, so I had sent an email out to Cindy and, asking her to get it out to dispatchers, to the fire chief, to central maintenance, that I'd like to work collaboratively with each department and their members and make this thing happen. So in that, we'll save a lot of money.
Great,
And waiting for the invoice on the workstations, which should be coming anytime. That's all through the PO process. Well, be through the PO process once I get the actual invoice. And we're gonna start working on that. So, hopefully we can get them back into their original location sooner rather than later. One thing I'm looking into right now is when they did the drainage project behind the PD, they had to take down a shed that was there in order to get their equipment behind the building. So I'm looking into, I'm working with Stella, finance director, and Phil right now, trying to figure out whether or not that's covered under the capital for that project. I don't know the entire scope of the drainage project. I'm kind of hoping that part of it being that they had to tear down a shed was to replace the shed. So we're kind of working on that right now. Ideally, if things work out, we'll put that shed back alongside our carport. And we'll be able to put our golf court and our side-by-side in there, as well as having additional storage up there. So we have no storage at the PD for anything.
But the drainage project is done, right?
With the
close,
exception of
it's-
some
it's
tick list
close,
stuff, they
right?
have to, yeah. Yeah, they were there the other day doing some, the civil engineer came, did his inspection, wasn't happy with a few things. So they're back to work doing those things now, so. Cruisers, our two new cruisers should be here, they're still on schedule for October 1st. Obviously, we still need more than that, but we'll be happy. Right now, we have about 3 active cars either offline or about to be offline for various reasons. Seats are not working, spotlights aren't working. There's a lot of clunks, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with them, so we're in desperate need.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they're staying on top of it, but it's a daily thing trying to get cars rotated through both the DPW and Ford.
Mhm.
So they have one of our cars, at least one every day. Introduction. So here today is Officer Jed Henry. I'll let you you can introduce yourself to the group, but as I said, I believe at the last one, selections were made for the downtown officer. Jed is the first selected to be a dedicated downtown officer.
Welcome.
Good morning or afternoon.
Just for the folks in Zoom land, just state who you are and your position, so they'll watch this later.
My name is Jedediah Henry. I'm a police officer with the city of Greenfield, and I have been for 4 years now. And as of October 1st, I'll be our new business district officer for the city.
And as soon as we get the new guy trained up, we'll have another. So they'll share hopefully a substation at some point.
Yes, exactly.
Can always put a tent up,
Yeah,
you know, a temporary.
I don't want to give anybody any idea. So yeah, Jed comes with a lot of enthusiasm from day one. He hit the ground running on patrol. He's a stat guy, puts numbers up. So I don't think there's anybody in Greenfield you're not familiar with at this point.
I think I got a good handle on who everyone is.
He keeps dispatch busy.
He's pretty busy out there, so we're excited to have him down there and see what he can make of that position, because he's gonna have some autonomy to get to know everything down there.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Nope, I just. Oh, sorry.
I just want a place to work out of, that's all.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the community. I think it's a good thing for the business owners, and I have to say that. I drive sometimes back and forth during business hours, and I see the police officers now interacting with a lot of people on Main Street and Federal Street, and it's good. Looks like it's good conversation, it's positive for the whole community, so I'm glad to see that it's working out. People have asked for it for a long time. So good to have you downtown.
Be downtown, sir.
So as usual, I'll put you on the spot. That's what I do. So tell us what some of your goals are and what you feel is important about this position for the community.
I think overall, the biggest goal is creating some sort of level of harmony downtown. Obviously, we've had the ongoing issues and we've been working towards it more in recent months. And between talking to some of the unhoused individuals downtown and some of the business owners the last few weeks, it seems that there are solutions we can possibly put forward that might alleviate some of the issues, whether it's resource-based events or just daily conversations with us walking downtown. That seems to have put some of the activities that people are concerned about out of the public purview immediately. And that's the first step, is making so everyone feels safe downtown, both people who are going shopping or the people who unfortunately have nothing to do during the day are able to stay down there. So I think that's the first step, is making it safe for everyone, and then moving forward, find resources so everyone's able to enjoy it even more.
And what's your plans to build your relationship up with the business owners of downtown? How do you foresee you communicating and building those relationships?
I think the big one is, as much as we can, check in with them. Make it so my face is a daily thing they see up and down Main Street. So it's if there is an issue, it's not, I don't want to bother him. It's, oh, I know he's gonna be here. I know he's gonna check on me today or tomorrow, or however often is needed. Obviously, every now and then, some businesses are impacted by issues that might require me being around more than other times. But I think the biggest asset we have is being downtown, being able to talk with them on a daily basis. So big issues don't boil over. We're there for all the small issues to start, so we don't have any big issues.
Excellent. Thank you for the answers.
No problem.
Any other questions for you?
We're not as tough as he is.
Well, I know you, so congratulations, and we appreciate you
Thank you.
stepping up, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we skip this special report page and do the rest?
It's not important to you right now?
It is, but I want to save it for the end.
You got, well, one thing he's gonna, just tell him about the grant that you got.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Several months ago, well, probably 6 months ago now, we applied for a highway safety grant. And the state is gonna provide us with almost $30,000 toward street signs and money for officers to go out there and do like OUI stings, clicking and texting while driving, and any kind of motor vehicle infractions that are like the real main concerns. So we received the grant, and as of starting in November, we can start putting more police cars out there and take care of some business.
That's excellent.
Well,
Congratulations on
these
that.
cars with actual.
Signs he's talking about are those solar radar signs. What he's
Like
talking-
on Mountain Road and
More of those. We got 2 on a grant previously. The city has some of their own. But the more we have, the better. So
Absolutely.
they just approved us for 2 more of those. Hopefully they go smoother than our last 2. We've been fighting them. Charging capabilities the entire time we've had them.
Is that a grant that we can apply for? Is it a yearly grant, or is it every couple of years, or? You know,
I think the last one we received was in 23.
Yeah, we didn't opt for it every time. It is generally an annual grant, although there are skipped years.
Okay.
There was a point in time when it didn't make sense for us.
Yeah.
We couldn't fill the shifts.
gotcha.
We have a very young staff now, a very energetic staff, and I think it's gonna go over a lot better. People will take them and do the work. Right, so, I mean, they generally require documentation of at least 3 stops an hour.
Gotcha.
So, you know, we had failed on that many times. Because sometimes you just can't find that many stops, but I think the group that we have right now can come up with something.
And then Lieutenant Haskins has his data machines out there at the busy areas. So we'll get a sense on when the trouble is, and then we'll deploy our details accordingly. So we'll have actual data to, you know, times and places and all that stuff.
That's great. Can you explain quickly what a data machine is for those who don't know what it may be?
It's the lines you see on the road that you drive over. It just counts the number of cars and the speeds and.
Right.
And
Well, his are more a radar gun. He mounts a box to a sign or a pole. And it monitors the volume of traffic as well as the speed trends in any particular area. So we can determine whether or not it's an actual speeding hotspot or not.
Excellent.
And it'll tell every car and every speed, the time of day. And he's got we have 2 of those, both of which were purchased previously from a grant. And they've served good purpose. I mean, we had a particular resident complaining that his street was the worst in Greenfield. Until I presented them with the data, so there are streets that are far worse,
Several streets that are
many.
many.
Yeah,
You gonna put one of those on Silver Street?
I wanna put it on your street.
At his driveway.
Yes, well, he said they're drag race.
How's
How's the sign
For
look?
me, the sign's excellent.
Good.
Yes, I can tell people are slowing down before the
And you, I don't
second
know if you
stop
know it,
sign.
there's one up on Penny Plain now?
That was the second one, because I don't think
that
we
is-
needed it on, I don't think we needed it on Vernon. It didn't make sense.
Perfect. He had that up in a day.
Yeah, that's excellent. Malo did an awesome job.
Absolutely.
Yes, so.
Yep.
Thanks to you and Malo, the mayor, everyone moving quickly on that. I think
it'll make a difference.
make a difference.
Yeah.
Great. Those, I appreciate those, information on those, data machines. Thank you, and thank you for the information on the grants. Any questions from commissioners on any of that? Good with your updates? Is that it?
You want the rest?
Special reports? Yeah, just skip the special, because I want to invite, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got the co-response activity, but again, that's kind of staying the same. You guys can
Yeah.
refer to it.
Yeah.
Co-response, just to put it in summary, remains busy. Serving a really good purpose and really, interacting with many who need it, so.
Well, the co-response folks, they weren't involved with the incident you had mentioned. At Poetsy,
No, I don't know.
they weren't in, yeah,
No.
okay, just curious.
No, that was entirely the midnight shift.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so we're good with updates. I just wanted, I wasn't sure if, Chief wanted to. Did you want to join us when we talk about, reverse 911 shelter in place at all? Do you have any?
You would like me to, yeah, sure.
Your input is critical.
Control it.
And Mayor, I would ask if you have any input, we'd appreciate it too, if you did, but you can stay where you are. if you want. All right. Well, you want to talk about reverse 911 first?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little history on where that idea came up. One of the city councilors, in response to a state police motor vehicle stop up by it's the Stop and Shop gas station on Bernston Road. A stop took place, whereas a couple of the individuals that were in the car fled on foot from them. For those who don't understand how the process works, we don't know what the state police is doing until they call us. Again, with the radio systems that we have right now, we don't hear them. So, and we certainly can't communicate directly with cruisers of the state police. Now, that could potentially change now, our new radio systems being installed. So hopefully that solves that. But at any rate, a motor vehicle stop, 2 people fled on foot. An individual in the school saw this and initiated the lockdown of the school, the shelter in place, because there is a difference. And in doing that, notified the superintendent. At the same time, and a witness seeing this called the Greenfield Police Department, that's how we learned of it. So officers rolled in that direction, assisted state police in trying to locate these individuals. And unfortunately, after an extended period of time, they did find these individuals. They were eventually taken into custody. But in between, the male individual had at the very least accosted individuals, and to the extent of possible carjackings or assaults and thefts and things of that nature. And so in response to that, the city councilor asked about our reverse 911 system. And I said, well, I'll be completely honest with you, under normal protocol, it's just not something we think of. We fluidly take off. We head to the area and we do our thing to try to find the fleeing suspects. But we can do better. And if we have a system that allows us to, and again, I don't have any idea about this system. That's why the chief and I will discuss it. I don't know if that's an overuse of it. I don't know the parameters of it. But what I did say was excellent idea. And we could have very quickly made a reverse 911 call and advise people that people are on foot in their community. Some of the phone calls I got were from daycare providers with little people. And they were concerned, they didn't know about it, and they were outside, and they could have very easily brought these little people inside, locked their doors. And we just never got the call out. So if it's at all possible, there's no criticism on anybody, it's just not, it has never been our protocol. So, but thinking of it now, good idea the counselor had. Maybe we can add it to our toolbox and get those messages out to people when needed. I think it's a great idea.
I would agree with that.
Chief,
Yes,
any input on that?
yes, so,
Please give it to us.
yeah, so reverse 911 has been in this community for 20 years. We have gone through a couple of different variations of programs. Through Code Red was our one about 5 or 6 years ago, and then we swapped over to Rave. The way that it works is people register their phone number. It captures every public record phone number. So anything that's in a phone book or whatever, or on 401 now online. If it's a record, public record, we capture that. So we have about 9,000 participants in the city that have signed up for that program. It is used for emergencies that have been vetted out. So there's a prior list of what we do use it for and what we don't use it for. There are certain ones that are automatic triggers, like if there's a tornado warning issued, that goes out to everybody automatically without anybody having to send it out. And then we can create messages, we can send it in a geographical area. There's different capabilities of it. It is a powerful, powerful tool, but needs to be used correctly in the right format. And I have been part of several incidents where the reverse 911 system actually backfired because it wasn't, it's emergent. They wanted to get the message out and didn't really think of the unintended consequences of the message. So, for example, there was a massive search that I was involved with in a neighboring town, and the local EMD decided that he put a message out to keep an eye out for this young individual, and gave the location, and then immediately prompted everybody in that neighborhood to go out in the woods and look for this kid. That was great, except for they had canines tracking it, and they lost the track because there were so many people that were sent out into the woods. So that's just one example. It has to be controlled. It has to be, you have to be very aware of how the program works. Our DPW made a mistake one day and put out a message that was 2 or 3 years old, and it gave out wrong information about street closures. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to stay in it. And our dispatchers currently use it on a daily basis for notification of firefighters, or recall when they're off duty, when we have an emergency, or to get emergency messages out, like a second alarm. There's predetermined messages that go out. I believe you folks get it. The mayor gets it. And other people that need to know, like the building official, the electrical inspector, there's smaller little ones that are built in that way, but it's absolutely a tool and can be expanded, but it needs to do so with a little bit of caution. One of the issues that we haven't seen, but when we talk about reverse 911 is people put it for voting day and school closings and all these messages, and what they actually find out is that a lot of people opt out of it because they don't want all those messages. But emergency messages, like we could have taken an area of the town and sectioned it out and put out a message, and it would have gone to phone, text message. You can set it up to automatically go to Facebook, Twitter. Like there's a bunch of capabilities with it. We haven't expanded that. We have used it on a few times for different emergencies, like flooding events. We put a message out that says, hey, listen, there's a potential risk coming your way. You should be aware of it. But yeah, it's a powerful tool, but you gotta be careful.
So we the city has this tool, or is it the fire department?
It's emergency management.
Emergency management has the tool.
The
So,
city has it.
yeah, sure.
So the DPW has a login, police have a login.
That's what I mean, login.
I have a login. I have to justify every message that goes out. So when a message is sent out, I have to reach out to the company. Because if we don't do it the right way, emergent phone calls are free. Not emergency phone calls, we get charged by the phone call. So we have to, when we have an event that gets spun out, I actually have to just check in and say, hey, yes, this was emergent.
And I'd agree that prior to implementing this, there would have to be a lot of talk, like we gotta break it down to like very finite protocol and policy. I think this one would have rise to the level.
I think,
The other component, and I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt,
No, go ahead,
the
it's
other
fine.
component that it also has is that it sees, like, the message comes out as Greenfield alert or fire alert, depending on what phone number it spends it out. As soon as that message goes out, within 5 seconds, dispatch is getting call after call after call after call, and ties up our 911 lines and other lines. Every single emergent one that we've done, that's been the unintended consequence.
so I mean, that's why I think it's important that you would use it wisely, right? And you would only use it for critical issues like you had just mentioned, Chief, this incident.
Public safety stuff.
Extreme public safety stuff, not just general, there's a flood on whatever street, right? I mean, that might be important, but rising to the occasion of what you had just mentioned, my concern is what you had mentioned about the state police, we're happy they're in the community, but it would be nice if our police department knew what was going on. And then you would make the judgment call whether you think the public needs to know what's going on. I mean, I find it troublesome that there's something like that happening and there's not the communication between the state police and our police departments. And I think with the radios that will help. It's probably an old issue, but it sounds like the radios will help because you can walk into their channels, but. That's, to me, that's kind of like the important question right there.
It's again, like I said, it's just a protocol issue. We generally, our job historically has been to shoot out into the field and solve the problem. And again, after hearing from some individuals, it just offers an opportunity to see things through a different perspective. Like I didn't think about the young lady who's running a daycare with little kids. It's not what we're thinking about. We're running out trying to find people, but it's valid and it's true and it's happening. And the same thing with the residents who saw strange individuals in their backyard while they were trying to enjoy reading a book. And next thing you know, this individual stealing the phone out of her hand or pushing her out of her car. And again, just a different perspective. We're just trying to find these individuals. So it got ugly. Thankfully, the person was eventually taken into custody, but it opened up a thought that maybe this reverse 911 can be used a little bit more to notify. Like I said, it's good that you can kind of geofence it in this particular areas, and we could have notified that sort of that north section of Greenfield that this is happening. And again, discussions took place between us and the school as to lockdowns and shelters in places and things of that nature as a result of this.
Any other questions, commissioners?
No, I think I feel more comfortable with the explanation as to what actually happened, because first thing is, well, you're a commissioner, don't you know that? It's like, let me a little think for it, that's all I can say.
And again, we kind of put things in silos sometimes, in that it's a state police call. This was a state police call, it wasn't a Greenfield police call, but it is a Greenfield police call once we started to help. So once we get involved, we're involved. And again, it's our residents that we're going to try to help. So, but we do get sort of narrow-minded in that regard, and we're considering ourselves support state police. It's not our thing, not our investigation or so. But again, these things like this it's good that we all talk about them. It's good that the counselor raised that particular option, and maybe, just maybe, we can make things a little better.
Dispatchers' access to it or they are limited access to predetermined messages. To send out, so it's already scripted and who's gonna receive it and what the message is.
So what are the next steps to jumpstart the communication? I mean, internally for your departments, do you think you're gonna put a little team together and see what it might take, or like, what do you, to actually utilize this? To,
I
you know,
think we'll
what-
have
what
to
do you-
work it out.
You know, you.
We'll have to figure it out, because clearly in this particular case, predetermined messages is not gonna be sufficient.
So that means somebody has to craft the message. And there's only four people that have authorization to craft the message.
Our thoughts were, we wanted to keep that on a
Specifically
supervisor
Do you know
level.
who those people are?
Yeah, there's a login for the police, there's a login for DPW, a login for emergency management, and a login from the mayor's office.
Okay, great. Good to know.
That's by design.
Yes, I assume it's by design, sure. Yeah,
And even that, they've suggested maybe too many.
okay.
Like, that's how controlled that these messages should be.
I don't disagree with that. Makes sense. You don't wanna be sending messages out every hour, every day.
Yeah, imagine being the person that hit the missile alert in Hawaii by accident, that alert.
I'm gonna recognize the mayor.
I just like to say, I was not likely to do that, Chief Strahan, as I didn't know that that was existing. So I wouldn't have been one of those few people logging in, but I did not know that. And this came up at city council. I was a little, I never thought about it. People asked what had happened in their neighborhoods, people were running around. If people knew, and I didn't actually know what to answer, and I said afterwards, I should have asked Lieutenant Green to come up, because I didn't know what to say, but I know this is gonna be on the agenda tonight, but I'm glad it's here. You know, because, and I certainly can hear you, Chief Strahan, saying, what about everybody like jumping into the act? But if we knew something was gonna happen and there was another daycare provider, that's just my thought, but I'm not in charge of the emergencies here. You folks are, I'm just listening.
It's all excellent information. Commissioner Jarvis?
Gotta hand up too.
I'm not sure we're taking
Oh,
comments
yeah,
from the
yeah.
public at this point in time.
Yeah, so I just, I don't know if we could use this so the commissioners can be notified of events happening, because it seems like the same thing with Maria that I had people asking me and I had no clue about it until I read the paper the next day about the city council meeting, so it was like, yeah, I had no clue, so I think.
I didn't know about it the city council week.
Yeah, so I think
I was in Ireland.
you were in Ireland, lucky you, I wish I was in
I know,
Ireland.
you
You had your cell phone, you could have made a phone call.
I knew about it.
So, I don't know, I think that it could be useful in that event, that way. You know, when I'm not gonna rush into any scene, I don't wanna be in any scene, I don't wanna. I think that we
I'm
need to
not
know
gonna-
something's going
I'm not
on.
gonna run away from it. Honestly, what we learned later made it a far bigger issue than what we thought it to be in the beginning. Understand, in our life, this is not an uncommon thing.
Mhm.
Right.
All right, so our mindset at that time wasn't to make all kinds of calls. This was just a motor vehicle stop that people left. We deal with it probably 3 times a week. What happened later, unbeknownst to us, was the ugly part. All right, so again, I think under normal circumstances, we wouldn't even be talking about reverse 911 or any of this stuff. It was a motor vehicle stop that people bailed. You'll read about them in the paper every single day. The problem is what they did to our residents after that.
Mhm.
And we would later learn. So it was too late for everybody, really. By
It's
the time we
probably
knew what was
what
happening.
they did and where they did it
That's
was
it.
in a more populated area, most of the time when people bail, they bail in
They
a.
ended up on like
secluded
Sunrise
area
Avenue.
and trying to get away from you.
Well,
They
they were
don't-
running through people's yards and ended up stealing a bicycle and trying to steal a car and every other thing. And again, when we went to this call, understand, it's a state police call, we're going there to assist. There's nothing bigger, that's routine. It's relatively routine and we're gonna go and try to help. You know, our concern at that point is what's the description? And we'll see if we can find them. And again, the stuff that happened later made it a much bigger deal. I don't even know that reverse 911 would have went out on the original call. It's just 2 people running from a car.
Exactly, until,
It
yeah,
happens
it
quick.
escalated, it happens.
So it's fast.
And it was resolved in an hour, and then 3 hours later, the guy was apprehended doing the worst of the worst. So,
Yeah.
but a couple other positive things that happened, I met with the superintendent. And we have a revised, they have emergency phones, so now we have the updated numbers for that, which is great. It's dispatch tested them out, they should all be working, and they also checked the locations of the emergency phones, because phone calls were made back and forth. One school that wasn't involved, wouldn't have been involved in this incident. Had kind of a poor placement of a phone, so they relocated it, so there was some good things here, some updated lists. The equipment was checked, which is great, so if this ever were to happen again. We have the right information and the right people to call.
Yeah, that's really good. You don't want bad things to happen, but, we move forward and take good things from it, and that's a good lesson learned. You probably didn't even know these phones existed, so that's.
And numbers
That's
get up,
great.
numbers change sometimes, and so
Yeah.
it was good. It was good that everything got updated.
That's why you have a post-incident review of everything, and you learn from it and you correct it. So, things were learned from this and things will be corrected and discussed in think tanks and
Made better.
made better, exactly. So that's why you have post-incident. Meetings and correct what went wrong and say hooray for the things that went right. So this worked, this didn't, so we learned from it.
Excellent. Can you talk just, I don't want to go through like this detail of shelter in place, like this is what the school does, but just how the communication works. I mean, like, for me, I just want a little education, can a school just decide they're gonna go into shelter in place? Does it come from the departments? Just like a high level explanation of like your ideas of how. I mean, I know it happens for all different incidents, but just like, can the schools do it on their own?
Schools can do it on their own.
Okay,
And
okay,
the shelter in place is the lesser of the two. The shelter in place is more or less, they close down the classrooms, pull the shades, lock the doors. And they keep it a low tone, but they continue their work inside. A lockdown means there's an active threat on the school. And it's total silence. It's defense time or flee time or whatever it is, and you hear nothing and you can only release it when we come in with key in each individual room and release their rooms. Shelter in place can be released by the school itself.
that's cool.
Mhm.
But the lockdown, does the police department make that decision, or is that
School can
made by, the school can make that decision also? Okay.
Yeah, because you're wasting time calling us to look for, if you perceive a threat, then you should act on it immediately, Like this one, we had very limited information from the state. So school said, well, this is what we got, we're gonna do shelter in place. And then there's nothing wrong with that train of thought on that.
Okay. And having those emergency phones, getting in touch with the police department should be their first response or action. I would, other than making the building and the children safe, the kids safe, notifying the police department that they actually went into a shelter in place or a lockdown.
And they did that because I heard it over the air that the school was in shelter in place. So the school did tell our dispatch that we are in shelter in place right now. So
We do have a radio system that we built for the schools. That we had a tie-in up at dispatch, and hopefully with the new consoles, it can be hooked back up. But the community spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a citywide radio system. That each school had been given radios. Including the superintendent's office all the way down to schools.
They're just not functioning right now because of the radio system or
I'm not sure.
I think the last person who used them was Rick Brook, who used SRO.
yeah.
Good to know.
But they have the ability to talk amongst the school. And then talk amongst all the schools, and then also have an emergency hailing channel.
When is the radio system gonna be like 100% up and running? Do we
So
know?
the workstations are set up and on
Okay,
at the PD. I believe they're just in testing right now.
Okay,
And then I wouldn't assume it's gonna be much more than probably this upcoming week. They should be up and running,
excellent.
which should open a lot of doors for us communication wise.
Okay. Excellent.
It's a good system, looks good. From what, the limited amount of exposure I had to it, looks good. Looks like it'll be user friendly and. I know Cindy and Bill Kimball from the fire department have been integral in setting it up to our needs.
And this is gonna completely link the departments, the two departments through the radios?
We can already.
You can already do that, but is there,
But most of the link ups will be easier for them is what it is. They'll be able to connect things, patch.
The
station to
current
station.
radio system that they have, the old Motorola console that they have is, I think it's five radios. Or six in it, 5 or 6 radios that are in it.
5, I think.
And they're all in a radio in the back. In the back closet or wherever they put it now, I don't know where it is, but if you wanted to change the radios, 2 of the channels, you could change the channels in between on the console. The rest of them, you actually had to get up and go and change the radios. This one integrates it better that they can change, each radios will be able to change their frequencies. So like we have a dumber down version of that here in our building, and there's 11 heads throughout the whole firehouse. There are 4 primary channels, but within our primary radios within our system. So it's a scale down from what they have. But basically there is, you know, a couple hundred different radio channels between the 4 radios that we can go to. Their system, they'll actually be able to do it right on the console. And then they'll be able to take PD and fire if they wanted to with a couple pushes of a button and tie those 2 radio channels together. So we're all on the same channel.
Excellent.
And they'll be able to do the same with state police, county. And we've never been able to do that.
With state and county.
I've been on pursuits with state police and I'm looking through the window trying to sign language them because we can't talk.
Yeah.
It's just not ideal. We should be able to link up now.
State police doesn't like sharing their radio channels.
I'm sure they don't like sharing much of anything, but.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
But they've been better at that.
No, we got a good relationship.
yeah, no, it's not, I'm not questioning the relationship. They're doing their business and they're busy and you're doing your business and you're busy and, you know, it's not, you're not meeting on the, you know, the side of the road saying what's going on, right? They're busy, so.
Yeah, I think the interoperability portion of it is becoming more and more embraced. At the beginning of interoperability, it was a struggle between a lot of people at a lot of entities and a lot of departments. And I think it's getting more and more, people are embracing it better now and understanding that it's to the benefit of everyone.
Oh, it's like the fire chief has said several times, seconds save lives. And if they can patch over a channel and get the communication out that much quicker, you might save a lot, even if it's seconds, and they're gonna be able to do it much quicker.
So the actual radio system that we're on is the Commerce system, which is the state radio interoperability system. It's so we have sections of that system that are carved out just for Franklin County, and within Franklin County, there's sections that are carved out just for Greenfield Public Safety as well, because we needed our own and we, you know, yes, we need to share with the county, but we really needed our own. So there's layers that are built out to that. And the functionality that we have by being part of the system is top notch. So not only do we have police, fire, but fire has 5 ops channel, which are repeated throughout the county. Same with on the PD side. And then there's tactical channels, 9 tactical channels, which are radio to radio. They don't go through a tower site. And then beyond that, there's so many other capabilities within the system. There's the event channels, which we use at Wormtown, which is, you know, we have to request them. But we can get, I think it's 10 or 11 that we use. There's public safety channels that can be, so like our opportunities for interoperability is pretty huge. Sometimes there's, you know, sometimes too much, right? But yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the information. Any more comments from commissioners? All right, next on here was school resource officer. Now, I want to make this clear to the public that we're not proposing to have a school resource officer. That's not why it's on the agenda, but me and some of the other commissioners felt like the word gets tossed around a lot. There's lots of conversations around it, either negative or positive, and we feel like we have a responsibility as public safety commissioners to look at the bigger picture, look at school safety. And we just wanted to put it on there to have a brief conversation and just have some thoughts on what it's all about. So I don't want people to panic thinking, we're looking at trying to do this, but we have a responsibility as public safety commissioners to look at the bigger picture.
I get started out as the training officer. We have 2 people right now that are NPTC certified and to be a student resource officer. And recently, we got 1 person post-certified, so it's kind of a double. So that person can, if they said they want a police officer in the school tomorrow, good to go on that end. We can ship them right over. We filed the paperwork for the second person through the post commission to be certified on their end, because you need both the NPTC and the post to sign off on you before you can even go over there. So that was our first step. So we have 1 and done, and it's pending on the second person right now. If we're gonna have 2.
That's good to know that you're preparing for that.
We have every year they go to the NASRO in-service trainings, so they're all up to date, and we kept it just in case the day comes where we need to put someone over there. So
Good to know.
Yeah, so I mean, the discussion ramped up, obviously in the wake of the first month of school. And we care and we want to protect our kids. So it's not up to us. That's the end result. Not up to us that we're in there. It's up to the schools to have us in there. So I get there's a lot of politics to it that we don't need to talk about, but we want to maintain our side that we're ready and willing to do it. Plain and simple. We have people ready to do it. We believe we should be there. And again, I think it'd look a little different than in the past, as I indicated at the school committee meeting. Is in the past, I think that the school resource officers integrated much more into the student life. My vision of it is more of a security job, whereas I would like to know someone's in there checking doors throughout the day, walking the perimeters throughout the day, encountering individuals trying to come into the school to make sure their purpose is valid, and not getting into the lives of the students. That's not my vision. My vision is I just want to know that there's a level of protection present in the school. I think some of the concerns from members of the school committee was the fact that the officers are integrating with the students. That's not, I'm not even asking for that. I just want to have someone there. So I hope that it seemed like that changed some perspective a little bit. Again, first and foremost, our priority is to protect the children. But a bigger concern I had, and I had relayed it to the mayor, was, and any time one of these events happen, what do you see? You see the city under attack because people want vengeance. People want revenge on these things, and chiefs and sheriffs are down the road. Well, I don't want to be seen as someone who didn't do enough when and if this tragic event takes place, while we're trying to do enough. So
Well, just to interrupt you there, I think that's how I feel. I think other commissioners feel that way. We want to be proactive. We want to talk about, we don't want to talk about doom and gloom. That's not what we're talking about. But our job is to partner up with our departments to make sure you guys have what you need and you're doing the best job you can to protect the citizens of Greenfield. So I think these are important discussions, and I think other commissioners would agree with that.
that one angle, in my perspective, it's a selfish angle. I can't say it without saying that. I want to protect my job. So, I put close to 30 years into this place. I don't want to be seen as someone who was negligent. And here we are. We just want to put some security in the schools. I don't personally believe it's too much to ask. I know our officers do, and I know they're not the individuals that many people label officers to be. They're actually human beings and good people. So particularly the 2 that we have trained up to go. I mean, if they're ready and willing to go do that. And I've talked with both of them and explained to them a potential shift in philosophy if they do go over there, meaning It's a security position, sit and watch security cameras, walk the perimeters, things that, and that's how they see it. It's an agreement that if we just want to protect them, that's it. So. I hope we get some headway on it. I really do. I think, there's not many communities out there today that don't have student resource officers. We're in the extreme minority not having.
I
Says a
think-
lot in and of itself.
Yeah, I think the general public, is sitting as, on the other end of public safety, we always, people always say, well, you guys are always the what if. And that is no, we're the when.
Yeah.
When is it gonna happen and are we prepared for it? It's not the what if, because you can what if everything to death. It's when it's gonna happen and are we prepared for it? I'm in total agreement with you on this perspective that the angle that you see on it. And the first reports within 24 hours after the opening of the school this year in that community was those resource officers saved lives. Plain and simple. So.
I'm glad to hear, as I indicated in that, it was the day after. The first school shooting that went national this year. That the FBI, and I didn't say it to scare anybody, but the FBI was in fact in Greenfield. To speak with a young man about potential threats that they saw during, I think it was on Twitter or TikTok or something. And again, that's good. They're watching, they're watching for these things and they're here. But again, we don't know about it until after they had already talked with the family and the young man. So it's real. They're really here. So, I mean, and again, the data I didn't like showing the data, but it's the data. It's the true data of the curve going to skyrocketing high levels of shootings in schools. It's just, it seems like a no-brainer to me that we need to do something.
Any other comments? Commissioner Birch?
Well, I guess it's on my side is a little frustrating to have, I'm sorry, but school committee, who makes the decisions, say, we don't want you in here. Because we know it works. And saving lives, saving kids' lives has to be the priority, other than personal feelings about whether the cops are portraying threats to the kids themselves, feeling uncomfortable having them there. This is my personal opinion. My ex-husband was the first resource officer in the town of Greenfield. And the things that he would share about the relationship, how the kids would be able to talk to him about things that they wouldn't be able to share with anybody else. And he could direct them to where they needed to go. So, and I'm all for it. And, it's sad to see the school committee be so adamant about not allowing us to be in there.
And again, for the record, I'm all in for taking baby steps. Again, if they're viewing this as a massive change, then let's work together and take some baby steps here. Let's slowly get these officers back in there in the most comfortable manner we can do it. And again, we have plenty of flexibility on our end to start it. Let's see how it goes. See how this works,
I think that you hit the nail on the head with what you just said. Take baby steps. If something happens, all of us in this room are gonna, more than all of us in this room are gonna feel pretty bad. So I think we take baby steps. We move forward. The ultimate goal, as Commissioner Birch said, is in Commissioner Jarvis, is keeping our children and young adults safe. And I think that the conversation has to continue. For the sake of the safety of the communities. Thank you for your input and all of you. Anything else anybody needs to add or wants to add? Okay, thank you for your time. We're gonna end pretty quickly, so you don't have to move. David Lanoy had a commitment with community college, so we couldn't make it tonight, so we're not gonna continue the post police complaints education. We can skip that. So our next meeting is October 23rd at 6 p.m. here at the wonderful Greenfield Fire Station. And I would ask for an adjournment, motions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you for all attending the meeting. Appreciate it. You can. You got it, recording. Thank you. Thank you folks for being here. Oh.